with on a couple items. Shane Beamer's Sunday teleconference, if you were just looking for like a quote or a soundbite on how he felt on either of the two hot button issues, there's two of them. One's Jaheim Bell. Two is obviously the offensive coordinator situation and any timing or changes there. If you were just looking for a soundbite on Sunday, you obviously didn't get it. Soundbites don't always equate, obviously, to what a coach is thinking. So I do think that yesterday during the weekly press conference, I think Beamer, took a different tone and also expounded more. So as opposed to saying, giving the nope answer on Marcus Satterfield, he actually fleshed that out a lot more and gave an answer that
even helped us count the players on the field.
Yes,
for those of us that
but
don't
but
know.
he probably I think gave what to some fans would be like a more satisfactory answer on that. And same thing with Jaheim. And I think what he said on Jaheim, that it's not going to satisfy people, nor should it, because everybody agrees universally that Jaheim Bell should play more, whether it's Jaheim, his family, Shane Beamer, Marcus Satterfield, Weston, Chris, Pearson, like everybody thinks that he should probably be getting the ball more, right? So it's just kind of how do you solve that and why has it happened? I think he actually did expand more on it beyond on Sunday, talking about the personnel groupings. He brought that up yesterday, but it was more, I'm the head coach. We have to make sure he's on the field. And so to that extent, it's probably going to be surprising if he doesn't get it more going forward, at least for the Vanderbilt game.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, someone texted yesterday and was like, he's going to get, 4 touches in the first 4 plays of the game against Vanderbilt just to kind of prove a point. And if he does, that's fine. I guess that's kind of what people have been asking for. But the unsatisfactory part for me in the 3-minute and 17-second, 588-word answer is, in addition to counting players, the crux of that issue seemed to be you have your 5 offensive linemen, you have Spencer, everybody wants Marshawn on the field. There's 4 players left, and if you're playing Jaheim and these other guys, then you're going to be saying, well, where's Stogner and where's Brooks and where's Wells and where's all these other guys? And to me, that's a false premise. He's constructing a little bit of a straw man because he and Marcus Satterfield and the fans and the draft experts and everybody since last, November, haven't been saying, watch out, Jalen Brooks is a potential first-round draft pick. Watch out, Juice is a first-round draft pick. Watch out, Stogner's a first-round draft pick. That's what we've been hearing from Wells. It was last week, 1 week ago today, that Marcus Satterfield said he's one of the best playmakers that he's ever been around. So you can't tell me that there are 4 guys that are better than him when you're also telling me that he's the best player on the team. Like, those things don't match up.
Yeah, I think, the personnel package conversation is kind of more of a surface level thing. And it's like, yeah, every coach has a bunch of different personnel packages. And yeah, so you basically have, 5 eligible targets for any given play. You have your 5 linemen, your quarterback, and then you have 5 options that you can, divvy up and divide up what position groups are on the field. And then within those position groups, which players are on the field. And, I think it was sort of a surface level answer. Also didn't necessarily dive into, well, why aren't you calling the personnel packages that put Jaheim Bell on the field?
Or just say, hey, Marcus, I don't care. Next series, Jaheim Bell's on the play, on the drive every single play. Like, just put your arm around him, say, don't care, just put him in there.
Yeah, and I here's the thing. I think to an extent we also have to remember, sometimes maybe there are situations where they did get into the flow of the game and plan to call something more, and then it just kind of never happens within the flow of the game. On the other hand, I think like most things, there probably are multiple sides to this. And I think when Jaheim Bell is in the game, he's got to execute as well. He's got to catch the football.
He's had some drops. He's had some missed
he's got to get lined up correctly, and he's got to do the things that are being asked of him as well. So I think maybe on the surface, it is pretty simple. Like, yeah, Jaheim Bell should play more. I think everybody, including the head coach, agrees with that. I think if you start diving below that, like everybody else, Bell's got to execute when he's in there. And then the snaps and the plays will sort of go up. And I think it's kind of interesting. We've all kind of latched onto this part of the conversation. I think there are obviously more issues within the offensive issues,
Mhm.
if you will, but this one has kind of just popped up as the most glaring and easiest target, I think. And it goes back to what you said. I mean, here's the thing, like when I don't want to lump Chris in, but like if I say something preseason about, hey, I think Jaheim Bell is going to be the focal point of this offense.
Mhm.
If Marcus Lattimore says something like Jaheim Bell may carry the ball
100
X number of
times.
times, we're not making those things up. Like it was very much thought coming into this season that Jaheim Bell
Mhm.
was very much going to be at least one of the top 3 guys. Let's
Right.
just put it like that.
Like,
That's
if you
putting
had
it
to rank the
lightly.
top 3 and going into the season, you probably would have picked Marshawn Van and Bell.
Mhm.
And you're kind of batting 1 for 3. But let me stop you there. There's nothing wrong with saying that in the preseason. There's nothing wrong with the coaching staff hyping him up in the spring and in the summer and in preseason. And he's getting the accolades and the watch list and the NFL draft projections and all of these things. But the problem, and this is why I feel like the staff has put themselves between a rock and a hard place, is that you have continued to double down on it. Marcus Satterfield's comments last week, almost after every single game, the coaching staff is being asked why Jaheim Bell isn't playing more, why he isn't being targeted more. And rather than saying, and I know you don't want to throw him under the bus, but there are ways to do this eloquently to say, well, he's got to do these things better. He's got to block better, run his routes better. He's got to know where to line up. If that's the issue, then if he can't do those things, then he's not as good as you're saying. And if he can do those things, then you just need to put him on the field more.
Yeah, and I think, a place where the staff, where Satterfield, let's call it what it is, where Satterfield walked himself into a corner was not just the comments last week, but the comments, coming out of, like, the Georgia game and where he kind of did what you said, he gave an explanation, and it was,
Hmm.
"Look, you know, we've we need him to play better without the football," is
Hmm.
essentially what he said. Like, we need him to be able to block. We need him to be able to do all the other things that require you that you're required to do at a specific position if we're going to move him around, play him at different spots. And then the opponent doesn't know, oh, he's on the field. They're going to try to get the football to him. Well, I think where he backed himself in the corner was when he said um, he's improving at those things.
Hmm.
He's doing those things now. He's working hard to do those things. And again, I don't know if it was exactly quoted that he said his snaps were going to go up, but he at least insinuated that he was doing those things now, so that would lead to more playing time. And then, that has not happened. So I think again, there's plenty of blame to go around in this thing, but I will say I think he has really hurt himself by, like you said, doubling down, saying I'd love to get the ball to him.
100 times.
Yeah, and so yeah, again, when he's out there, I think it is also worth it to say, like, Bell's got to do the things that are asked of him as well when he is on the field.
Yeah, and I think maybe even the bigger issue than the amount of his touches is the actual snaps,
Hmm.
right? Because like what Wes said, when you're kind of intimating that his snaps are going to go up, that he's improved, he's really, dedicated himself to playing better without the ball, doing those things, but the snap totals have like gone down each week. And I know, you kind of got to measure that in a relative sense because what they play against Missouri, 50 something. I mean, just
Yeah, but they've gone down
every week.
literally every week of the season except for
Yes.
the Kentucky game.
Yeah, every week. And so that is hard to reconcile. If he's playing 40, let's call it 40 snaps a game if you play 70. So if he's
Hmm.
playing like half the snaps and he's not getting the ball, that's maybe a little bit of a different type of conversation.
Yeah, that's more
So,
an indictment, I think, on his individual performance.
yeah, you can still talk about, play calling and finding him some
Hmm.
things there, but it might be a little bit more. So I totally agree with Wes. I mean, there have been some times, there's some things he has to do better, but you do have to, he doesn't have a chance to do what he can do if he's not on the field more. I actually looked and saw, so last year around the same time, Jaheim Bell had, I think, 32 total touches versus 21 this year through the same point. So they got him the ball actually a little bit more last year, and I haven't broken out the snaps. I would imagine he probably played a little bit more in a lot of these games. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think it's a great point, man. Last year, they were able to get him on the field, along with Nick Muse, where Bell was sort of the off the line tight end, H back, slot guy, whatever you want to call it. They played, Nick attached, which is sort of where Stog is playing right now. So, I think they've showed he can do those things. It's just, they have not done it this year. And I had another point that I think I just completely lost.
Well, it
we'll
looks
come
like
back
he
to that.
was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he had catches in 11 games last year. So that, I'm guessing he's playing more snaps, but they were at least using him every time he was out there.
Yeah, and had a huge game against Vanderbilt. So I don't know if there's a matchup thing to possibly watch. This is probably, like your texter or caller said, this is maybe when they force the ball to him, and he could have a big game this week. But the other side of this, y'all, is that they have not been successful on offense.
Mm-hmm.
If the personnel thing and the number of playmakers thing probably is much more well received if it's like, look, guys, we're trying to mix and match personnel. We're trying to, essentially what Beamer is saying is, hey, some situations dictate us going 4 wide. Some situations dictate us putting 3 tight ends on the field. Sometimes you put 2 tight ends, but you want more of 2 blocking tight ends. All those things are valid. But I think where the fans get upset is when they hear that, they hear there's all these playmakers that Carolina needs to get on the field. Then they're looking at the offensive output as well. If Carolina was putting up a bunch of yards and it was just, hey, this week is Wells' week to shine. Hey, this week the matchup and the defensive calls dictated that this guy got the ball, and you were still putting up big yardage, I think it would be, there's going to be a little bit of complaining, like, hey, where's Bell? But that argument that we're talking about, the personnel argument, would be, I think people would accept it a lot more because it would make sense. This to me is more like, all right, the offense is struggling, and you have this guy on your roster that you yourself has said is such an incredible playmaker, and it just has not happened this year.
I want to come back to that idea. As we talk about the offense in general, they will need, and they're not going to need to have their best offensive performance ever to beat Vanderbilt this weekend, but it will certainly need to be better than it was last weekend. So I have a suggestion for you guys. I mentioned this, I guess, when I opened the show earlier, and I say things unchecked when I'm here by myself. So if you guys feel like you need to check me, I want you to have a chance to check me. I have a suggestion about what this Jaheim Bell situation might mean to the offense in general. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, text line. If you guys want to be a part of the show, that's how you can get us. And all 3 of us are available for you on Twitter, at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, and at GC Chris Clark.
The early game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Aside from you bragging that you picked the winner, I don't know if we mentioned who actually won the race or what it meant for the actual playoffs. We more discussed the fight.
Yeah. And that's why it would have been more block game material.
All right. That's why she's the producer, and I just sit here in my little
I don't ever make a producer happy. Just go with the flow.
You're a wise man.
The fight back and forth over the mic would probably not be what people want to hear.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. There are energetic baseball crowds, and then there's Phillies games. There's loud, rambunctious ballparks, and then there's Citizens Bank in October. The Astros and Lance McCullers looked shook last night as the Phillies' bats made loud noises, and then the fans did the same. Houston, good luck hearing yourself think tonight. This is Damon Amendolara.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, bike, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecockSonline.com.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res Carpet and Air Dug Cleaning. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Travis Bedson, owner of CNT Foundations.
With the world like it is today, we all just want to hold on to what we've earned. And if your home has a foundation problem, you can do just that with CNT Foundations. We now offer up to 2 years, same as cash, for qualified homeowners. So you can repair your home now and pay nothing for 2 years. It's the best of both worlds.
Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
I'm here with Jacob Crowder, known to our listeners as the mortgage guru. We're all hearing about mortgage rates right now. Jacob, what's the market telling you?
Now more than ever, it's important to know your mortgage banker. When working in a volatile market, it's important to be well informed and have the ability to move quickly. Working with a local bank gives you access to bank products and superior service. Here at First Palmetto, we have your best interest at heart and have the ability to get the job done. Call me today, 803-719-1005, or email me at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
It's good stuff, Jacob. Tell me more.
We are still seeing a competitive purchase market. Having a strong pre-qualification from a local bank goes a long way with a tight market. With housing supplies still being minimal, we're doing a lot of construction loans. If you're looking to buy land and build on it, or if you're looking to build on land you already have, we're a great resource for construction loans. Call us today to discuss how we can help you. 803-719-1005 or email at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
In times like these, you need an expert. Call the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005.
First Palmetto Bank is an equal housing lender, a member of FDIC, and all loans are subject to approval. My NMLS number is 198432.
Got an appetite for football? Football Saturday and Sundays are back, and you can catch games all day at Twin Peaks. Grab a 29-degree draft and check out our scratch menu. Visiting during the week? No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon menu category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
21 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Wes, Chris here with you in the Herndon Chevy Studios. Talking Carolina football. Moving on from Missouri, looking ahead to Vanderbilt, but a lot of interesting comments yesterday during player and coach media availability. South Carolina's coordinators will speak today too. Marcus Satterfield, Clayton White. I don't think it's a Pete Limbo day. Could be wrong.
It's not.
Yeah, he kind of does like an every other week thing. In any case, tomorrow, too, Carolina calls right here on 107.5 The Game. And after that, we'll have coverage of Thursday Night Football, the Eagles at the Texans. Coverage will start right here on 107.5 The Game at 7:30 p.m. So a lot to listen to here on 107.5 The Game. I have a suggestion for you two. I opened the 9 o'clock hour saying this Jaheim Bell thing is not that big a deal, and that Jaheim Bell getting touches, not getting touches is not the difference in Carolina being like 10-2 and 6-6. He's a good player. he needs to be more involved. This is not, benching Tom Brady in favor of Davis Mills. There are other problems here. But my suspicion is that whatever communication, evaluation, execution breakdown is happening wherever in the chain it's happening, but from Shane to Marcus, from Marcus to Jaheim, or wherever, is probably indicative of some of the other breakdowns and lack of communications and just general inability for the offense to be effective. Because the way that I look at it, and Wes, you hit on it. If the offense were high flying right now, it would be like, oh man, like where's Jaheim? Thought he was going to have a big season. Doesn't matter. If the offense were terrible and Jaheim were playing a lot, like you were mentioning, Chris, it's like maybe there's some more specific things you could do to get him the ball, but he's playing and the offense isn't good. That kind of is self-explanatory. But right now the offense is bad and you're not getting him the football. It's not bad because you're not getting him the football, but is the offense bad because of some other, just because they're not as high profile as Jaheim Bell not getting on the field? Are there other kind of evaluation issues that we are missing that the staff's making that's causing them to be just so underwhelming on that side of the ball?
Is that a question? Like that's the question?
That's a question. Is
a long question.
Is the Jaheim Bell experience a fair representation of the problems with the offense in general?
No and yes.
Oh boy.
No, I think
give me no first and then give me yes.
I think it is one. It is one of the problems, and it is probably representative of some of the greater problems. But then there are even more issues. I think. I think ultimately here's where I have settled, and that is NFL offense bad, college offense good.
Wait. Nice.
That's where I've ended up, and maybe some of that, if it's an umbrella, maybe some of what we're seeing with Jaheim sort of does fall under that, and that you are, in my mind, NFL offense equals complicated, college offense equals not. So, I think it is increasingly difficult to run an NFL style offense, and they have. Here's the thing. The response to that would be, well, they have simplified what they're doing on offense this year. And that would be absolutely true. But I think it goes a bit deeper than that, in that your best college offenses, it appears to me, outside looking in, that they have a scheme that is sort of pretty simple to install the basics of, and then they build off of it from there. But there is a structured sort of base offense that has your set plays, and this is what you go major in, basically.
Marcus Satterfield runs the Will Muschamp defense on offense, where every play a safety has 75 responsibilities and checks and reads, and it's just impossible to keep up with it. I'll build on your academic analogy yesterday. You were talking about grading the Gamecocks like it's a test or an essay. Marcus Satterfield is installing organic chemistry. And you can dumb down organic chemistry, but it's still not going to be bio for non-majors. And this needs to be bio for non-majors. Did y'all take bio for non-majors?
I avoided all science classes in college.
Really?
Very
So
proud of
you,
myself.
I think I did too.
Exempted them with all your high school credits or
My
something?
wife took enough for both of us, but she's a lot smarter than I am. She took organic chemistry, actually. Said it's very hard.
Yeah. Well, so she gets that analogy better than anybody. Organic chemistry, dumb down organic chemistry, bio for non-majors.
Yeah. I don't think everything that South Carolina does is overly complicated. Like, you look at some of the run schemes and some of the other, they have some of their base package plays that are not terribly hard to understand. I would almost punt on that, not because it's unimportant. I just think, regardless, I agree with Wes's point. You kind of think about some of the teams that run more of like the pro style stuff. Okay, so the first three examples that came to my mind: Todd Monken at Georgia, who's been an NFL offensive coordinator. Now he has college. There's carryover now, right? Between college and the pros more than ever. You think about Bill O'Brien at Alabama. Before him, at some point, you had Brian Dable, who was and did a great job there.
Yeah.
What's a common theme with those programs? They have way more talent than you do. Now you compare it to kind of Tennessee system, which is not, I think, contrary to popular belief, it's not like, oh, this is the easiest thing in the world to do. It's not, kindergarten, if we're going the academic thing. And even they have added some stuff, like Alex Golesh, who's their OC. He spent a little time at Heupel at UCF, but he came from Iowa State. So they've added some of the just tough, we're going to run it down your throat Iowa State to Tennessee. But what is like the common thread in that, whether it's Tennessee or like you look at Wake Forest or you look at Coastal Carolina, they do something different. It's a little unique. It's got some unique elements. And whatever they do, because all three of those systems are really different, they take their players and their skill sets and they maximize them. And so I think whatever we're talking about, pro style, college, a weird option, a weird mesh point running game type offense, just take what your players can do best and maximize it. And so we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about Spencer Rattler. And, well, why was his 2020 season at Oklahoma so good? And why is this season not so good? There are a lot of reasons for that, but I think ultimately it's that this is the source of frustration for fans. They look at the amount of talent on this team, and it's not Alabama, not Tennessee, but you look at the amount of talent, and what you come away with is it should be better. Like the production and the consistency should be better.
Yeah, and I think to be completely clear, I don't necessarily think that all the plays themselves, like in a vacuum, South Carolina's running is some reinventing the wheel, super difficult to execute, outside of the box, crazy play. A lot of the plays in their own, like in a vacuum, are similar plays to what everybody else is going to run. I look at it more of like, how do you install it? How do you get to it? What do you call it? What do you call it? Can you, we've seen, was it Jordan Rogers that was on the analysis?
The Texas A&M game, right?
Which guy was it? I think it was him talking about how, no, Kentucky game. They were talking about how long some of the play calls were. And, even in the very beginning, when they started installing everything in the spring, not this past spring, the spring before, they talked about how they had just thrown a bunch at the players and they were seeing what they were going to get and what fit, and then they were going to pare it down. Take that in contrast to, let's say, how Mike Leach installs his entire base offense in 3 days and says, like, this is the base, this is the sort of foundation of what we do, and then we build from there. I don't think it's necessarily that the plays themselves are that hard. It's just more about how you get there as far as play calling, logistically, how you install it, how often that leaves you time to efficiently rep your quote unquote base plays to where you're able to execute what your base plays are at a high and efficient level.
But if you're 8 games into the season and your quarterback says after a loss, they didn't really know what the offense was trying to do.
This is all an oversimplification on my part. I understand that, but that's because any conversation like this, there are 1,000 reasons why it's not working if you really sort of looked into the pie and divvied it up into all those reasons. But again, like we said yesterday, we're trying to figure out what's the biggest piece of this pie that is most affecting everything.
Yeah. Scheme, execution, evaluation. It all has to improve. I guess to come back to it, and not to I guess put a bow on it exactly, because y'all might have some thoughts on this as well. But I guess almost scheme aside, but just coming back to the Jaheim Bell issue, like if the staff cannot properly evaluate and figure out how to get him on the field, is it fair to trust them to trust that they're doing the rest of the evaluations well? Because clearly this is a situation that's been evaluated, whether they've misevaluated Bell's talent specifically or how to use him, or have just failed to execute in getting him the ball. I think it's is it safe to assume that those issues are happening elsewhere and that might be cause for some of the problems offensively?
I mean, my answer to that would be yes and no, in that apparently that's my go-to today. But no, point being,
It's going to be close.
No, yeah, there you go. Point being, coaches are not infallible, so they're they're going to make mistakes, and unfortunately for them, their mistakes are amplified and discussed and broken down. I think, do you see these things continue to happen, or is it a particular thing with a particular player? Is probably where you find your answer to that question.
803-404-6100. Y'all let us know what you think. Love Chevy phone line, text line, and you can get all of us on Twitter at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at GC Chris Clark. We will start to look ahead to the Vanderbilt game. That's Carolina's next game. They do play another game. They'll have an opportunity to get bowl eligible in that game. Talk about that. Any other thoughts that you guys have on the team in general, as coach and players spoke yesterday. More coordinator thoughts to come later this afternoon, too, on 107.5 The Game.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Terry Ford, 107.5 The Game, with my buddy Adam Vance from Sound and Images. Now, Adam wanted to come in, not so much talk about how great Sound and Images is as a business, wanted to address the cufflink controversy of you walking around with your initials on your shirts.
Terry, yes. I do have to address the cufflink issue. And yes, I would appreciate it if you went to soundandimages.net. We've got great commercial audiovisual products for you all day long. My man, Paul McKeon, Tom James, I order some shirts. They come with initials. I come in here, I do a spoof, I do a spiff, whatever you call it.
It's a spot. That's okay. It's okay.
It's your world, boss. I do that. And then all of a sudden I get all this grief. I'm walking down the street. I'm going into, you name the store, and all these people are talking about my cufflinks. So now I'm getting my socks monogrammed. I've got my napkins, paper towel, you name it. Thanks, Terry.
Sound and Images, Adam Vance. If you want to reach out to Adam Vance, just go to soundandimages.net or call 803-791-3925.
Fall is here, and with it comes all the traditional family outings like tailgating, mountain and beach adventures, and road trips to grandma's over the holidays. Wherever you go, go with great gas mileage, safety, technology, comfort, and style in a new Honda from Honda of Columbia. Right now, you'll get more for your trade than ever, and as always, you'll enjoy their no-hassle pricing, no-pressure buying experience. Honda of Columbia, your friendly family Honda dealer since 1978. Highway 378 at I-20.
Ever wonder why critters and pests move in under your home or in your attic when it gets cold? Leaks in your ductwork system can mean you are heating your pest's new home as well as your own. AAA Heating and Air is offering free ductwork inspections now through December. Their trained technicians inspect your ductwork to be sure it is sealed tight. This way, you get all the comfort and the critters get left out in the cold. Call AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500 to schedule your inspection today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Are you passionate about helping children and families? Turn that passion into results. New child welfare case managers with the South Carolina Department of Social Services can earn a starting salary of at least $41,200, with additional salary increases for BSW and MSW degrees, and annual increases after 1 year of service. Learn more at dss.sc.gov. This message is sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Social Services.
My friends at the South Carolina Forestry Commission want your help in canceling wildfires this year.
Or at least the ones caused by humans, which are about 90% of all wildfires.
Negligent but avoidable behaviors like careless outdoor debris burning,
lax campfire safety, and improper vehicle and equipment use
are the leading causes of wildfires in South Carolina.
Please think before you burn outdoors or operate spark-producing equipment.
Let's cancel wildfires, South Carolina.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Are you sick and tired of living with that constant pain in your knees and back? You know, joint pain doesn't just affect you from doing what you love. It affects your job, your relationships, even simple things like getting dressed. Hey, it's Bill Gunner. It's time to call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses advanced regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged joint tissue, giving you your life back. Whether it's your hips, shoulders, elbows, they can all be treated with natural biologics from your own body. Powerful healing agents, highly concentrated. If you're tired of steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics now to schedule your free consultation. Learn about these exciting exciting new cutting-edge treatments for pain caused by arthritis or injury. No drugs, no pain meds, and no downtime. This is an all-natural treatment that can get you lasting relief. People here are raving about the results. Call now, 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. Appointments are available this coming week. Again, that's 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics.
Hey, I'm Jenny Sturm. I'm with Sturmy Plumbing. Call my dad if you have any slow drains, clogged drains, leaky pipes, runny toilets, runny sinks, or no hot water. Call Sturmy Plumbing for all of your service and repair needs. 803-201-2689. At Stormy Plumbing, where we make your gray skies blue.
This is Lisa with Stormy Plumbing. I look forward to hearing from you. Please call us at 803-201-2689. Thank you.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:38 Wednesday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, West, Chris here with you in the Herndon Chevy studios of 107.5 The Game, talking Carolina football. A little big picture here today, starting to look ahead to Vanderbilt as well. We'll get more into that and the matchups, the specifics. Carolina opened as about a 7-point favorite. Haven't really tracked the line movement. Seems about right. A game that takes on, the Vanderbilt game is always important to not lose, but now it seems like an added sense of urgency for South Carolina to right the ship after a lackluster offensive performance against Missouri last weekend. Can't lose to Vanderbilt.
I know, and I shouldn't say this, and somebody told me a long time ago, like, never, if you're in the media, never say things like, yeah, not much going on here, or not, because it's like you're telling people not to listen to what you're about to say.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like the Vandy game is like one of those games. Nobody likes playing Vandy, because it's like, if you win, nobody gives you credit. And if you lose, it's like you just lost to Vandy. They haven't lost an SEC game since.
It's been 23 straight, I think, for them.
Haven't won an SEC game since who knows when. So it's kind of one of those games. It's like most games as a fan, I think you can find reasons to get excited about. Most games, it's fun to break down when the fans are like involved and want to talk about it. This game is just like, it's not a great atmosphere.
Or an Akron, but it's in your conference, which is unfortunate. And honestly, it feels like fans, I don't know of both teams, but maybe at least in South Carolina, kind of feel the same way about Missouri. Like, it's just always such a sleepy game. And I thought it was because Columbia, Missouri is kind of sleepy. Maybe it is. I've never been there. You mentioned when you were there, it was like kind of rocking because both teams were really good. But I mean, like, Saturday was just such a gray afternoon. It was a late arriving crowd. It wasn't really close to a sellout. It was just kind of
This is the weather's fault. That's why South Carolina lost Saturday. It just felt so
the grayness
dreary.
It took, but the one year the weather saved South Carolina against Missouri, and so like
it
owed,
it's Scarnecchia year.
Yeah, so it owed South Carolina one.
Yeah,
so we did you a solid.
Was a crazy game.
Wow,
such a
wild.
crazy game.
Yeah, but just a weird. So yeah, back-to-back weeks that are, I guess the best way to say it is that Carolina is going to need to needed to create its own momentum against Missouri. Didn't do that. They're going to need to create their own momentum against Vanderbilt, not only because you're on the road, but just because it's going to be another kind of sleepy game, and this team will at least have an opportunity to, I don't know, self-start, which I guess they didn't really seem to last weekend. 803-404-6100. Before we start to talk a little bit more about the Vanderbilt game, we'll go out to the Love Chevy phone line and hear from Tom, who's got some thoughts. What's up, Tom?
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good.
Really appreciate your intelligent interaction about the South Carolina football team. I've never been a coach in football, so I don't call as a coach. But I do call with a leadership question, and that is, what is the elephant in the living room as far as this whole thing as far as the offense for USC. And what I mean by that question is, I know Spencer Rattler came to us as the man that was going to help us to turn things around. And he came from another school. And my question is, I know you guys apparently talked about him a lot yesterday, is from a leadership vantage point, if he's not getting it done as the quarterback, why hasn't the leadership at some point asked the question of maybe he is some of the problem, and would we consider benching him and putting someone else in for a period of time? I know that takes a lot of courage for a coach to do that, but I know we talk about the offensive coordinator, but when push comes to shove from a leadership vantage point, the head coach makes those kinds of decisions. And so my question for you guys is the quarterback situation a bit of an elephant in the living room here that's not being addressed?
Tom, thanks for the call. I certainly think that it is, and I think you ask a fair question. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, I guess, in the form of what's the downside, and you do risk, losing part of your locker room if the guys still believe in Spencer Rattler. You lose, if things don't go the right way, that's you're right. It takes courage to make a decision like that. I would say that's what the $2 or $3 million are for, like to make the hard decisions, right? I'm firmly, Tom, I guess, kind of in agreement with you that I don't know what the downside is, but I guess, Wes, what would you say the hesitation is from the coaching staff to make a move like that, to try to jumpstart the offense, even if it's not a long-term move?
Yeah, I think for one, it does appear they still firmly believe that that Spencer Rattler is the best option for this team, and I think you do sort of. It's kind of, to me, one of those moves. I don't know if there's any going back from making that move.
In general, or just because it's Spencer?
I would say mostly in general, but also because it is Spencer, at no fault of Spencer's, actually. I think, here's the thing. Look at how, so example, Clemson makes a change at QB in the middle of the game. Dabo tries to get ahead of it as much as anyone possibly could and says, nah, this was a one-game thing. This guy is our guy. DJU is our guy. He's our quarterback. This is like, Steph Curry has a bad shooting night, blah, whatever he said. The very first analyst that they go to at the end of the game is like, nah, you can say whatever you want, but you just benched your quarterback and you went and won the game with the other guy. So the second South Carolina would make that change, the headline across not just Columbia, South Carolina, across the country becomes Spencer Rattler got benched again. So I don't know if you're going to make that move, I don't know if you're coming back from it. Like, if you think long term, if you're still thinking, Spencer Rattler may be back next year, if you think this is your guy, I don't know if there's enough finesse in the world to sort of finesse that move to keep it from becoming a big national negative type story that you have to
the outcome
answer
is extremely important, though, because if you clearly there is precedent for benching Spencer Rattler. Nobody would argue that someone else doesn't deserve a chance right now. So you can very easily justify that decision. If you start Luke Doty and he has a terrible game and Carolina loses to Vanderbilt, then you have even more confidence going forward with Spencer Rattler. And if you win, then you've gotten the desired result and you don't need to worry about changing back anyway, or what the perception is, because you won the football game. That's the ultimate goal here. So if you lose, it takes care of itself. And if you win, it takes care of itself.
Yeah, but lost in that is almost like, what do you think going into the game? Do you think, and I know what's been said publicly about Luke's improvement, and I do believe that, but they might go in thinking, we don't think Luke gives us a better chance than Spencer to win the game. You don't want to risk a game. Let's just give this a try. Like, you only get to play 12 regular season games a year, so you can't just on a whim, let's just change this up just for the heck of it. And if we lose, you have a very, especially for this team, it's not like you can just trot whoever out there just as kind of a test case. So
Yeah,
I mean,
fair.
that's the other side of it.
Well,
yeah, I mean, either way is fair to think
Were
about.
you about to say margin for error?
Yeah, I stopped myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk. I'm not using the word margin anymore. No margin for error.
That's his
and
favorite
turnover
phrase.
margin.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I've come off. I just talk about it too much, but
Okay.
it's a thing.
That's Drew hates setting the edge. That's his least favorite thing. So
Wes, that was one of Wes's keys to the game last week,
Yeah.
which, by the way, was a
was.
great point.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it
Mhm.
at all.
Yep.
So-
Not good. Well, I guess the last thing I'll say on this, and thanks again for the call, Tom. This is where I would come back to the Jaheim Bell question and say if they are not evaluating or executing that situation correctly, like, does the fan base still need to trust the coaching staff that they're making the correct evaluation with the quarterback if they're not doing it with a guy that is ostensibly the best or most valuable player on your team or was supposed to be? I think that's where it's fair to ask those questions. If you're not replacing Spencer, he continues to play poorly. It's like, oh, well, they're just screwing this up like they're screwing up the Jaheim thing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying the fans are going to ask that question, and there's going to be precedent for feeling that way. So, Tom, I don't know if we will see any of Luke Doty this weekend. I don't know if he'll be starting, and this whole week has just been a slow roll, or if he won't play again for the rest of the season, but it will certainly be interesting to see how that plays out. 803-404-6100. Thanks for the call. Any other thoughts that you guys have as we close things out here on the Gamecock Central Hour on a Wednesday? Text line, Love Chevy phone line, Twitter, however you want to be a part of the show. Go ahead and get us there.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game. High school coverage on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
This could be the best Christmas ever. Hi, I'm Travis McNeil. At Oliver Gospel Mission, we are transforming lives at our Men's Center and our Women's and Children's Center, Toby's Place. Your donations make a daily impact as we provide life skills, jobs, and new housing. You can spread hope and joy this holiday season by donating $35 today at olivergospel.org. Let's celebrate Christ this Christmas.
The power of Christ love. The power of Christ love.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
Government regulations for HVAC systems are changing in 2023. What does that mean for you? It means the time to save is right now. Contact AAA Heating and Air, who must clear out their warehouse to make room for these new regulated systems. No deals will be turned down. Plus, you get a 15-year part and labor warranty, guaranteed financing. Anyone can get a brand new HVAC system as soon as tomorrow. That's AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Carpet and Air Dug Cleaning. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroSColumbia.com.
As a lawyer and state senator, my father taught me to stand with the working people of South Carolina, and watching him helped prepare me to serve as chairman of the South Carolina Workers' Compensation Commission. If you've been hurt on the job and you're not receiving the benefits that you're entitled to, you need to hire a lawyer. Be wary of those who promise things they cannot deliver. If you've been hurt on the job, who you hire matters. I'm Holly Atkins. Call me at 803-251-6406.
Hey, this is Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns. Even after 25 years of business, we continue to build Midlands Landscape around the trust and care of our customers. Our desire is to turn your outdoor space into your dream space. Midlands Landscape can create and install patios and fire pits, outdoor fireplaces, outdoor kitchens and cabanas, retaining walls, and even swimming pools. Let us build your outdoor living space. Call Midlands Landscape and Lawns at 356-8080 or midlandslandscape.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation. discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join our growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
7 minutes in front of noon, Wednesday morning. Welcome into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Last segment here for us today. Plenty more coverage of the Gamecocks, though, throughout the course of the day here on 107.5 The Game. Coordinator availability this afternoon. We'll have some thoughts on that a little bit later on as well. Got an interesting text here, and we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but as we start to look ahead to the Vanderbilt game, Brian suggests just scheduling a series for Luke Doty to play early. You're not benching Spencer Rattler. I hate the two quarterback system, but I'm at least curious what that would look like. I think it has its own problems. You're not really giving Doty a chance to get into a rhythm. You're not giving Spencer a chance to get into a rhythm. I think there are problems with it, but do you think we might see something like that early for South Carolina?
I'm not going to try to predict it because just based on history, it's tough to predict when coaches say, yeah, we got packages for this guy, or we definitely want to get him involved. It does not always happen. And that's not just at South Carolina. That's other places too. I said it yesterday. I think it was, I am fine. In fact, I would advocate with getting Luke involved. That doesn't even mean a whole series, but getting him involved somehow, depending on how you do it too. If you do the 2020 version, non-bowl game edition of how DeCarrion Joyner was used, where it's, here's your package of plays, which is basically you're going to run it every single time.
Yeah.
Not as much, but if you have a package of plays for Luke that you can run and you can do it without being predictable, I'm fine with it because I think, and I said this yesterday, even if Spencer's playing well, I'm good with that because it's a different, wrinkle to your offense. Shane Beamer pointed out yesterday that, hey, we've got some stuff where Juice Wells gets a direct snap or, one of the running backs gets a direct
CBS
snap.
I think in the last couple of weeks.
So I'm fine with it. I don't really have a feel as to whether or not we will see it from Luke Doty.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Billy says that's how Mike Holt won the job in 1984, and the rest, as they say there, at least it's history. Wes, would you advocate for more of Chris's solution, or would you say, hey, third series of the game, no matter what, is Luke's?
No, I like Chris's solution because it gets Luke in there without it being this massive, thing that's presented as, the changing of the guard or this guy got benched. And now I will say this, the very first or second play that you insert in this case, you're kind of talking about using Luke as like a wildcat quarterback. You have to throw the ball down the field the first or second play you do this. Like I feel like coaches almost act like they feel like they have to establish the run with that look at first, where you've established the run just by the other team seeing a different quarterback running onto the field. They know what you're doing. I think you have to throw out of that.
I mean, Stephon Gilmore in the Clemson game, was that 2008 or whatever?
Yeah, 2009. Hit Jeffrey, and I think he hit a big play against Florida State in the bowl game that year as well. And I think you've got to maybe give him a few plays in a row too, like the thing of running him on then running him off, like they did with Joyner a lot of times last year. doesn't do anything for anybody in terms of establishing some rhythm and momentum.
Don't know if we'll see it. I'm kind of hoping for it, even though it's not traditionally what I look for. I don't like the 2 quarterback thing, but Carolina absolutely needs a spark this weekend against Vanderbilt. We'll hear from Marcus Satterfield a little bit later on this afternoon, get his thoughts on what Carolina needs to do to fix some of the issues from Saturday, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. For Wes, for Chris, appreciate you all listening. That is all we have time for. The halftime show is coming up next, and we will be back tomorrow.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus media station. It is football season, and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecockSonline.com.
Hey, I'm Jenny Sturm. I'm with Sturmy Plumbing. Call my dad if you have any slow drains, clogged drains, leaky pipes, runny toilets, runny sinks, or no hot water. Call Sturmy Plumbing for all of your service and repair needs. 803-201-2689. At Sturmy Plumbing, wherever you may